know what's interesting is that most people in Trinidad and Tobago grew up a certain kind of way, believing and trusting people who were called leaders and police officers. And from that happening, I grew up in the existence, believing in the faith of others, holding my safety as important in their lives. And constantly for the past, 1 year and 3 months, they have systematically shown that they do not care, rather than putting a narrative into how they look is more important than the needs of Trinidad and Tobago people. Now, the reason I can gladly say that unapologetically is because repeatedly the TTPS has shown something, and these imitation leaders who have no respect, honor, integrity, has repeatedly shown that homosexuality, disgust, and no demeanor for anybody that literally lives in Trinidad and Tobago is important. And the reason I can say that is because if the priority of the leaders of Trinidad and Tobago is to start commerce, bacchanal, and chaos, and raising your voice in Parliament, and hiring a speaker that is literally biased until he was charged with corruption many years ago and got out on a loophole. It's interesting how karma deals people doses, and you can have a robbery happening in a gated community, and he too was targeted. What is also interesting is that soca entertainers who married in to certain family members can't speak about other things that are transpiring, but they can definitely cover up what they do with other individuals and will not make a statement about insecurities and certain things that definitely are affecting the nation, because likewise they also have family members in Superior who are officers. They have family members that are police service members from the Carnage area also. But what is equally as interesting is that the pathological lies given by a former police officer who is definitely involved in corruption, who is now a government minister, along with an individual who is a puppet of the Prime Minister, shows up so blatantly that everything that a certain ethnicity does is being highlighted as negative, and they're cancelling it out. Have you ever heard about gangs coming together and the peace that they formed? A government minister doesn't want them to have peace. Make it make sense. What is also interesting is that these people are doing things in certain government ministries. For instance, the San Fernando Corporation. Why is a pundit coming every Saturday morning, and why so far 37 people plus have died from that office? We're talking about today's July the 10th. We're talking about as of last week, on the 5th, even somebody died. This is not hearsay I'm speaking. I'm trying to understand the logic of this. Now, this never used to happen prior to the appointment of this interesting regime. Now, with that being said, why it is also that certain members that working in there getting some, let's say, compromising questions asked to them, and we're talking about same-sex questions. Why is it a priority of this regime to have so much interesting fish, and none of them belong in the ocean at all, going on? Have these guys never read the book of Daniel? Have they never heard about Sodom and Gomorrah? Have they ever read Leviticus? It's interesting. I think not, definitely. And the things that they're doing is highlighting so much in the public light of trying to make breakfast shed into the curry corner. That's not my words. And then making a mandir 60 feet away from it. While a certain individual who does wear a bikini, high heels, white glasses, is who is very good friends with the Prime Minister, and also slanders people's name for the purpose of money and popularity, and even sometimes having sexual stories of unintelligent, low individual mindset people. While we have a government minister saying that he knows exactly who committed certain crimes but cannot say who the individuals are at this time. There's certain things they call them. They call them pathological liars. And these are the individuals in question who we have as leaders, who we appointed. And while we're speaking about issues, they purposely don't want to listen. But hear what? They can cancel Independence Day parades which our children were definitely listening and learning of what to do for those special events that all of us grew up in Trinidad and Tobago loving. And what's more interesting is that there's something called a lackey, and there's something called a sock bottom, and there's something called a house nigger. Which one of these criteria does the interesting office of the DPP or public prosecutor's office or any individuals in high police positions doing right now? Do you know them to be any involvement in any of the most intelligent, for instance, this individual, the most intelligent police officer we have ever had in Trinidad and Tobago history, still staying silent more than any meme performing on a street in Europe? These are the things you need to ask yourself. And then how could you have a regional corporation boss firing 68,000 people in particular, but hiring her former love interest and her now still significant other, both of them under what you call it, boy? Murder, and associates, as in individuals who dealing with very questionable white stuff, to say the least, while we have a police complaints authority head denying of many things are transpiring. But his member of staff was murdered recently, who's in a homosexual relationship for 5 years, and he says he doesn't know anything awkward or strange out of the man's life at all. When this is transpiring, we have licensed in office who have 14 members of staff involved in corruption, yet still everybody have their job. And everybody's operating as normal, as if this is normal. But when we speak about it, nobody is being charged. Very interesting, isn't it? So the same individual from the PCA who was murdered in Williamsville, or is it Charlieville? So he had some very questionable contracts with certain people doing IT work with, but yet still they're pushing this stuff under the carpet. And do you know any government minister that looks like this in this current regime, asking for a friend? Trust me, rather interesting, isn't it? I stay quiet on certain topics, but definitely it doesn't make sense staying quiet anymore, because imagine we have a ministry of AI in Trinidad and Tobago while we have officers dying in our police station, and people still not realizing how serious this is. Trinidad and Tobago, when will you all stand up? When it's totally gone? When you realize we have come Haiti 2.0? Or when we have been downgraded so much until our money has no value? Remember, I love you guys with a passion. Deuces.